Okay, so it's almost 10 o'clock, and we will start, I guess, in exactly a few seconds. Before we start, this lecture is going to be in English, and is going to be available in YouTube, so that anyone who doesn't join now will be able to participate in either communication or consumption of the video later on. Okay, so we are here today to speak a little bit more about the contribution that VR can give to destination management companies or destination management organizations. And this is what we are going to cover, also while covering a little bit of how the product VR Hotel actually does that. In summary, after saying a little bit more about DMC, or destination management companies, and destination management organizations, we're going to address some of the key challenges that these organizations are facing. After that, we are going to present a few ways in which modern technologies or advanced technologies solve these challenges. We're going to examine how does virtual reality technology fit into this landscape. After that, we are going to examine the role VR Hotel can implement, VR Hotel implementation can take into this entire problem. We are also going to examine some of the case studies and some of the experiences we already have on the field. So first, we're going to set the stage with some basic terms. So destination management company, or DMC, is a company that uses its knowledge base to promote and to offer services into certain region. Destination management organization does similar thing, but the difference between DMC and DMO is while DMC is a private company and is usually for profit, destination management organization does that is usually non-profit and sometimes publicly owned. Doesn't have to be, but usually is nonprofit. So destination management company offers services that cover one region. It can be geographical region, local, it can be national, or it can be multinational. That depends on the way that the destination management companies run. But they offer their services in one way of the view of that geographical term. So for example, if company views Croatia as their destination, then what destination management company does is they sell the entire experience of Croatia under one story, one visual, one way of presenting that organization. It's similar for destination management organization. Now, in Croatian experiences, destination management companies and destination management organization, while they're being vastly different in their implementation of their everyday operation, are not usually the most successful companies. So we had few attempts in creating destination management companies in Croatia. I, for once, have an example of a company that was designed and based in one region of Croatia, and our entire offer was in one certain storyline based in a sense that it showcased the entire advantages of the single location, but through the story. So let's call it like that. Knowing what destination management company is and what destination management organization is, there are some key challenges that they are facing. So one of those is seasonality, meaning that that's not basically the job for entire year. So parts of the year are overbooked, and parts of the years are basically there's no transactions. Then there is workforce challenge. Workforce challenge is also a little bit tied with seasonality because you need more workers while the season is, let's call it, hot, and then you need fewer workers when there is less market activities. But one of the main issues is also lack of collaboration and cooperation among primary service providers. So let's dive a little bit deeper in what that actually means. So while explaining the seasonality, special interest tourism is a little bit different story. So when we are creating destination management company, we have to have a certain end user in mind when we are addressing that user. And that is special interest tourism. So for example, if we are creating company that only sells their services to C-level operatives in multinational companies, then we have to cater the entire offerings on that geographical location in such way that that user can recognize themselves in that offer. So basically, we fill their own needs. It's the downside of that is that while focusing on one group, if that group is not targeted frequently and accurately, the results will not appear. Also, workforce challenge I covered. So there's a little bit newer challenge is in both the knowledge, the expertise, but also the availability of skilled workforce. And then we have the collaboration and coordination among primary service providers. So primary service providers are those providers of the service in the region that offer only that service. So for example, there's transportation companies. They only have their buses and bus drivers available. They're not going to sell other services. Hotels, they sell beds. Privately owned houses for rent, they sell their beds as well. So we cannot expect them to do the job of the DMC company or tour providers. Those who have the local tours, they only sell those services. Also, it's really not expected of them to cover the services of DMC, which encapsulates all of them. So the main challenge of the DMC is to coordinate between all of the primary service providers in a way to sell a story. And we had many technological innovations in first and second problem that DMCs are facing. So we could see that seasonality and special interest tourism, for example, in European project Tourism 4.0, is usually managed by AI systems that provide real-time price adjustments. So both in Europe and overseas, we have companies that use artificial intelligence technology in order to forecast how to approach their tourists. And the result is that within the season, when the season is hot, when the season is peak, we have high prices. And then on the low season, we have lower prices. That creates a little bit of a challenge for both company that offers the services, but also for the guests who are visiting. And all of those challenges are usually solved within those systems that providers are offering. Workforce challenge is usually managed by companies that offer their services within either education, so we also have VR in that, or they provide certain how they call it resource management tools. Resource management tools in workforce they are designed to track the skill level of the workforce. They are designed to track the productivity of the workforce, and they are designed to track the availability of the workforce. What we are lacking is the technology that tries to solve the third issue. And this is where VR technology can be used. And this is where I'm going to touch a little bit later on, as I mentioned earlier. But what I like to add is just a little note. Although we refer to these challenges as challenges, they are more viewed as, they should be viewed as opportunities. We have strong companies that have solved one, maybe sometimes two issues. But if we create a company that can solve all three of those issues, then we have a potential of creating a company that is going to transform the future of the travel business. And that is huge. So these are the opportunities we have. And based on these opportunities, we found that advanced technologies can be used not only in AI and not only in computing power of the computer that goes beyond human capabilities, But also we can use some of the advantages of the VR. So not to repeat myself, I'm not going to hold too much attention on this slide, because here I just expanded a little bit on what I said in the previous. So how does VR fits into this? We have one really interesting opening for participation in the Croatian Ministry of Tourism, that offers subsidiaries for companies that are willing to implement the virtual reality technology into their businesses. And the biggest advantage that VR creates is that it allows companies to create immersive experiences for the guests, both guests that are planning to visit destination and guests who are already within that mentioned destination. What is the difference? So when the guest is sitting at home and planning where to go, the difference between photos and videos and VR technology is that while consuming the content of photos or videos, it is not it cannot provide enough information for the person to know what it means to experience it. Let me go a little bit further. So we say that photo is worth 1,000 words. So when we are looking at a nice photo, it can give us much more information than if we are reading the brochure. Video gives us even more information, more in-depth knowledge of the destination. But once we put on that virtual reality and the content that is provided for the virtual reality, we have the experience of viewing from all the different sizes when we have the goggles on, and thereby experiencing a little bit of what it means to be at the destination itself. Now, that's the first example. And then we have the guests that are willing to make the decision based on what type of content that they're consuming. But then we have the second guest that is already on the destination. And many travelers are leaving the gaps within the activities they are doing within the region they're visiting. Those gaps are filled in two ways. So there is a gap that is filled with either a boredom, doing nothing, or talking to the family. But there is a second way in which people fill this gap between the activities. It's the unplanned activities. And having a VR experience, it's the quickest way into showcasing what it means to be at a location. So if we imagine caves, one thing is to see the photo of cave. The second is to see video, where you also see just a series of photos, and then the completely different experiences once you are within the virtual reality. So that you can see how it is wherever you look, you're surrounded by that surrounding. But moreover, let's talk a little bit about decision-making process. It is considerably faster and more efficient for the consumer to make a decision. So, for example, they're going to use a couple of minutes to read the brochure, but they're only going to need less than a half a minute of VR to make a decision. So this is where the biggest opportunity for the implementation of virtual reality technology lies. So, what is the role of ecosystems such as VR Hotelos in this surrounding? So, while VR Hotel is designed for hotels, that is where the customers are when they're traveling. They travel to hotels. So VR Hotel can both complement these travelers who are having the gaps, but also the travelers who didn't necessarily have the intention to spend longer time within the destination. And by perfectly aligning the purpose of the DMK, the VR Hotel is bridging the destination experience together in one place. What it actually means is that the DMC company that provides tours within the specific geographical location and is viewing that location as unified, through VR Hotelo can present their services in multiple different hotels in a completely same way. So what does it mean for DMC company when they have their tours in multiple locations? So, for example, let's keep within one small region that is Lika in Croatia. It's filled with natural beauties. So if a company sees Lika as a way of retreating from everyday urban environment, then that company can provide in a simple way few different services through VR Hotel in every hotel that VR Hotel is located. Now, hotels can then choose whether they're going to cooperate with that DMCs or not. By doing that, it gives the opportunity for the guests to experience what it really means to have this engagement with these activities, just in order for them to have better experience for destination. There is a quite an issue with this in well almost the entire Croatia, for example, other than the coastal region. The guests usually stay longer within the coastal region, and then they stay a little bit shorter further away. There are a few challenges and a few real life reasons why that is so. But if a DMK or DMC company wants to bridge that, this is the tool they can use and satisfy their needs. Now we're going to just go through some of the practical examples and the case studies. So we have implementation of VR Hotel in Grabovaca. We have implementation of VR Hotel in a few hotels, but there are also some of the experiences within the destinations themselves. So first, Grabovaca allowed their guests to not only experience the caves, but also the surrounding area. So they could, for example, not just stay and visit one cave, but they can also see what else is in the nearest surroundings, so they could dedicate their time there. And Grabovaca showed immense interaction between people who actually went to visit the cave and then choose to visit the surrounding area through VR, and then also went there once they're experienced it with the VR. Now, why is that the case to be studied? In order to go to Grabovaca cave, you have to be a nature lover or someone who wants a specific experience within the nature, someone who's chasing the underground, let's call it like that, speleology. Those type of customers are not usually the ones who prefer to use technology on their vacation. And still, having that type of visitors, we still had huge engagement with the VR in Grabovaca. Experience from the hotel is the hotel in near Plitvice Lakes that has more than 35,000 people annually. What happens there is people usually come to see just one destination, stay 1 or 2 days. Usually that's Plitvice Lakes. And most commonly, they don't even know what else is there. And then we can use VR Hotel to provide the information what else is there. So there are, in the nearest surrounding, we're talking about 45 minutes drive. There is the longest zip line in Europe. There is Grabovaca cave. There are series of caves, and there are other destinations like that where they can quickly decide to spend their day, and preferably, if they don't have enough time, plan their next visit. So that's where the huge advantage of VR Hotel comes. Also, the same happens in the destinations. In Plitvice Lakes, in Smiljan, in Velebit, people cater their time in these regions with a specific destination in mind, not necessarily knowing how close the next experience is. So this is why we want to present the VR Hotel as a way to implementation of virtual reality technology to plan not just their stay while the guests are there, but also to plan their next visit. So now I'm just going to showcase one more thing before moving on, and that is the virtual reality configurator for VR Hotel. So this is where anyone can, just a moment. This is something that anyone can use if they are interested in VR themselves, VR Hotello. But let's see, how can we do this? Okay. In here, ER. So if a company wants to engage into possibility of implementing VR Hotel and virtual reality, we have on our website something that easily provides anyone an opportunity to do so. Uh, what uh, what it is a configurator for VR Hotel that provides anyone to basically cater uh, the the devices towards their own needs. It's fully customizable. It's easily scalable. It's enterprise ready. But most importantly, it's basically a plug and play system where if you do these steps correctly, you can easily get the product yourself. So interested any interested party can just start their own configuration. We have this in each step. There is this popular choice. So, for example, let's say here we're going to use the premium. You see that there are different colorings in the words that are offered within the offering. So the greens is what you'll get anywhere, and what is in the black is what separates the certain support level from the other. So if we continue, then we have the we can choose how many licenses do we want. So let's say this is a larger hotel and we want, let's say, 70 licenses. And after that, we can use VR headsets. Do we want to purchase VR headsets from VR Hotel, or do we have them ourselves? So if we already have VR headsets, or if we need a supply, uh, we would often recommend guests or buyers to choose the VR Hotel equipment, not because we make a lot of profit on it, but because then we can better uh, suit the needs of a customer through providing them with the correct equipment. Then we can choose what is the length of the license duration. So let's say 3 years. It goes a little bit different in each steps towards the calculation of the expenses, but that really is besides the point right now. We can choose between the models. Do we want it on reception, in the rooms, in the fairs? Each one is a little bit different because it is catered towards the experience made for the purpose. So, for example, on receptions, people don't have too much time. It's really hard to imagine people hanging around reception for longer than a few minutes. So the content for the reception is usually shorter, but is as engaged as in any other. In rooms, we can then provide longer content, we can provide more content, and we can then allow hotels to choose how they're going to handle the destination destination presentation within those devices. Fairs are a little bit similar to reception, but in a different surrounding. So fairs is also not as long as content as in rooms, and we also allow people to choose if they have any other implementation. They just have to explain. Then we have the available environments. If we go a little bit downward, then we can scroll through environment. We basically can see what the guest sees when they're there. And let's say we choose, let's say this one. Again, we can see how it looks. Move forward. Then we have type of content that the buyers already have. What is most often situation is that the hotels usually, and agencies have these 2D videos and 360 videos, but sometimes they have no content. And this is where we can also jump in and provide additional service. And we offer guests, or we also, not guests, we offer buyers two different approaches. It's either with just stickers or the full wrapping, which allows it's customizable. So that's the difference. And then we have the stands in which the gear itself is going to be presented. Or if a buyer has a different idea, then maybe they don't need a VR stand. What is the best for accentuating the VR hotel is Prime. And then latest step is just to fill in the information, just so that we can know who to contact. That would be a little bit about the hotel configurator. I would also like to showcase a little bit on how the technology is implemented in our partner. So we can see what Grabovača did. To return a little bit on the last slide of the presentation. So what they have here is the full 360 view from their tower within the Grabovača cave system. But also then we can go into different locations, and then we can see how it looks like. So this is when you produce when you produce the content that is in the right framework. And then this is little virtual walking through the Grabovača cave. So this is what companies can do. Just a moment. Okay. So now I would like to offer us a chance to discuss. If there are people who have some questions, feel free to drop in. Or if you want, you can view the presentation later. You can get it online, and we can have a talk later on through either via email or conversation itself. So if there are questions, we can have a few minutes. You can write in the chat or just turn on your microphone and feel free to speak. If not, this was just a short reminder of how to use VR Hotello, but also the short reminder of how useful VR technologies can be in destination management companies. So I see there is no questions. So in that case, I would thank you all for the attention, and we can talk any moment later. We have contacts that you can access in our website, and feel free to ask any additional questions that you like. So thank you for attention, and bye bye.
Pozdrav.